What's up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the Moto G Stylus 2024 to the S22 Plus, one of my favorite old flagships, and a lot of people were interested in this one just because the Moto G Stylus is just actually really impressive. It really took me by surprise this year that this phone was this good. Alright, so let's go ahead and just dive into it. There's a lot of pros and cons here with this comparison as well too. So let's go ahead and talk about the price. So you can find a locked Moto G Stylus for $200, like the one we just unboxed. And if you want it unlocked, it'll be around $300, I think $350 or something like that. So the S22 Plus you can find used refurbished like this one. It'll cost you around $280. Sometimes you can find them for like $250. Just really depends. I'll have the link down below. So when we actually start to look at the actual design of the phone, the Moto G Stylus looks really good for a mid-range phone. I really like the soft back, but it is a all plastic device, and you can definitely tell the difference here. With the S22 Plus here, it is a glass and metal device, and it just feels more premium in the hand. Now, of course, the Moto G Stylus has the built-in pen right here as well too. So you have all of these options that you could do, and it's a really handy feature. So you can navigate the OS. There's like a really cool calculator thing that they have on here as well too. So there's quite a bit of like, it's actually pretty useful for the most part here. Now, it just doesn't stop there. It does have a headphone jack at the bottom, and this phone does have SD card support. So now you guys can see why I said, it was a very impressive phone, because I wasn't expecting, headphone jack and SD card support. That is something the S22 Plus lacks. There's no SD card support. There's no headphone jack. Now, where the S22 Plus has an advantage is it does have IP68 dust and water resistant. This has pretty much no water resistance. The Stylus, it is basically water repellent. So basically, if it rains and your phone gets wet, it'll survive. But if this falls in a pool, it'll probably break. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the overall displays here. So the S22 Plus has a 6.6-inch display. It is dynamic AMOLED HDR10 Plus, 1750 nits peak brightness, 1080p 393 for the PPI. You also do have on the Stylus a 6.7-inch display, so it's a slightly bigger display. As you guys can see, they both have the punch hole as well. It's a POLED display. It's 120 Hz, 1200 nits peak brightness, 1080p 395. So resolution wise, they're pretty much the same. But one of the things that you will notice here, and that I noticed, is that the S22 Plus is HDR10 Plus and the Stylus does not have that. And then also what you'll notice is the max brightness outdoors is much better on the S22 Plus. So if you're in direct sunlight, it's easier to see the S22 Plus. But the Stylus screen, just looking at these two side by side, it looks really great. Yeah, the bezels on here are a little bit thicker, of course, it's a mid-range phone, but I'm pretty impressed with the overall quality of this display compared to, honestly, we know Samsung makes the best displays, and so I'm just pretty impressed by the overall quality here. So yes, the S22 Plus display is definitely a better display, but this is still a very good display for a mid-range phone. I mean, this is a pretty good display. Alright, so there's definitely something to know here with the overall software experience. The Moto G Stylus will get up to Android 15, and it will get 3 years of security patches. The S22 Plus, it will get up to Android 16, and then it will get security patches as well. So basically, you will get more updates on an older flagship here with the S22 Plus. So that's something to know. As far as the software experience, Motorola has pretty much gone with a stock Android feel here. It's pretty much stock Android with a little bit of Motorola customization on here, and I really like it. It's very simple, it's very plain, so I have no issues with this skin. The One UI update, or the One UI skin, is a little bit more advanced. There's a lot more going on here as far as what you can do in the settings. As far as customization, you got stuff like good lock. They both actually have a desktop support mode as well too, which I thought was really cool on Motorola's part. So you do have that. But where the S22 actually stands out a lot is that it has the AI features, which is going to be a big thing in the future. Especially, you're going to be hearing this a lot when Apple comes out with theirs. So basically, there's a lot of AI features when you go to advanced intelligence. And I made a whole video about this, but there's a lot like live interpretation, the keyboard, live translation, summary on the web pages. There's a lot going on. They're just going to keep adding stuff. The photo editor has a lot of AI stuff as well too. So basically, yeah, I would definitely say it depends on the person. If you think you're a more advanced user and you want something a little bit more advanced, then One UI is definitely a way to go, and you get more updates. If you like stuff that's a little bit more simple and you don't really care about all that stuff, then definitely, stock Android is pretty good. It's very clean looking. Alright, so I want to get into some benchmarks and some tests for you guys here. Now, here are the specs for the Moto G Stylus. We got Snapdragon 6 Gen 1, micro SD card support, 128 gigs of internal storage, 8 gigs of RAM. The S22 Plus, it does have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, and then you also have 128 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM as well too. You could see a massive score difference here with pretty much 200 versus 800. You get almost 6 FPS, 1.47 on the Nomad Lite test. And then you can see the S22 Plus definitely heated up way more than the Moto G Stylus. The Moto G Stylus does not really get hot or anything like that, but it doesn't perform as well in these benchmarks. And if we go to Geekbench as well too, and this is one of the things where I don't go really into benchmarks, but I have to for certain people, based on who's watching. So here is the benchmark scores here. So you guys can see the S22 Plus does a fantastic job. The S22 Plus is definitely overall smoother phone, like just bouncing in and out of applications, opening stuff up. But the Moto G Stylus is pretty fast itself, so even if we just open some stuff up, you can see if we open up Subway Surf, S22 Plus, it's a little bit faster, but it's not like it's dramatically faster. Alright, so when it comes to gaming performance, I would personally go with the S22 Plus here. The benchmarks are better. It's just better settings when it comes to gaming. And for games like PUBG and especially more intense stuff like Genshin and stuff like that, you're just going to have an overall better experience. But that's if you're a gamer. If you're not a gamer, then you would be fine with the Moto G Stylus because it actually plays games pretty well. And we don't have that heating problem at all on this phone, really, in my experience. You can see HDR, so we get PUBG 60 frames, and it's very smooth for the most part here, so no issues with that. But like I said, this phone, like if I was to load up Genshin, it wouldn't play as good as like an S22 Plus, and if you threw like some more intense stuff at it. But it's a very good phone for just casual gaming. So if you're a casual gamer, this is fine. If you think you're more, of a gamer, then you would easily go with the S22 Plus. Alright, so let's test out the speaker performance at max volume. So one thing that I immediately noticed is that the Moto G Stylus is loud. It's just not as clear as the S22 Plus. Like the sound is just more crisp. But the G Stylus is a little bit louder, but it doesn't sound as good. But it does sound decent, so I think I would still give it to the S22 Plus just because I prefer overall more cleaner sound. But speakers are not bad at all. Now, here's another area where you will notice a difference is the fingerprint scanner. This is an optical fingerprint scanner, and it's one of those, like, if you lightly tap it, so you have to kind of apply just a little bit of pressure. Samsung has the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, so you can kind of lightly tap these and it'll go in. So it just overall, it just feels a little bit more faster. But the stylus does work pretty well, but it's just one of those little small things you'll notice. Alright, so let's talk about the cameras on these phones. So the S22 Plus, it does have the 50 megapixel standard, a 10 megapixel telephoto with 3x optical, 12 megapixel ultra wide. It can shoot an 8K24 with a 10 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. The G Stylus has a 50 megapixel standard, 13 megapixel ultra wide. It can shoot in 4K 30 on the front and back, and it has a 32 megapixel selfie. So check out these side by side stills. Let me know what you guys think. Far as the battery experience on these two phones, it's been pretty decent for the most part. The Moto G Stylus has pretty good battery life. It's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. It's got 30-watt charging, and it also has wireless charging at 15 watts. The S22 Plus, it does have a 5,000 milliamp or a 4,500 milliamp hour battery, 45-watt charging, so the charging is a little bit faster. And then you also have wireless and reverse wireless charging. Battery life is pretty good on the S22 Plus as well too. I can't really say that I've ever had an issue with getting through the day. So battery life is solid on both of these phones. So overall, this is a pretty good comparison. The G Stylus, I think, is pretty impressive. It really comes down to what the person wants. Like I said, there's a lot of pros and cons here with software updates, and you got the headphone jack and the SD card support, but you got a better processor on here. Comes down to what you thought about the cameras as well too. You have better camera specs on the S22 Plus. There's a lot going on here, so let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.